All right, and we are live. Tyler, thank you so much for making
Hello,
it
friends.
today. It is a
Hello
pleasure
today.
to finally get to meet you, and I've been looking forward to this talk for a while. So
Good to meet you, and thank you for reaching out to us.
nice. All right, well, we'll start kind of just square one. Again, this interview isn't about me. I'm here to learn all about you. So before we jump into Scale Plus and Seoul Startup Club, I want to hear about you, your background, where you grew up, where you went to college, things like that. So give me the quick pitch on you.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I'm from the U.S. I live in Korea now. Um, I'm from an educator family. Both of my parents are educators. I'm from Connecticut. Um, I didn't live my whole life in Connecticut though, because my parents traveled a lot since I was a kid. So I got to live in many other countries growing up, not only the United States. So that gave me a lot of exposure to many cultures, many experiences. And I think that's why I became more adventurous. And now, like here, you see me in Korea. I was told by many of my friends, like, why do you go there? Do you know anybody there? Can you speak the language? It's like the answer was no to each one of those. But I'm here, and I'm thankful for being here. I think great things happened here, and I'm looking forward for more.
Nice. So let me ask this. Well, two questions, kind of. One, I love studying languages. My second language I learned in college was Mandarin Chinese, and now I'm trying to pick up Spanish and Japanese. How was it for you learning Korean? I'm sure you're still ongoing.
Yes. Unfortunately, when I came here, I came, with the mind of actually opening my startup in Korea. So when I came here, I dived into that world right away. And then I think I didn't have a lot of time to study, but I believe it is very necessary to succeed uh, in any country. And when you know the language, and your chances for success increase by that. I took many classes. Now, I mean, they weren't comprehensive classes, but obviously I'm still taking. Actually, I want to take more comprehensive classes in the future, but now I can actually do, like, just casual conversation, when I go to the store buying something. So I can do that. As I told you, I lived in many countries before, so I learned a few language through that journey. So I think learning languages for me isn't that hard. I just need to dedicate more time to it. But yeah, definitely, I believe that the language barrier is um, such a thing that actually prevents you from growing more. It kind of like puts your potential in a little bit in a box sometimes. And so yeah, I need to get out of that box by adding the language skill to my skills as well. In Korea, like that box in Korea, not everywhere, obviously.
Just kind of last point on the language thing. How common is it? And I haven't been to Korea yet. How common is it for kind of just the average person in Seoul to be able to speak in English or not? Because I know in like Tokyo, like not as much, but when I was in Shanghai, it was very common for a lot of the Chinese in Shanghai to speak enough English to help you out. So it's just, it's all over the place depending on the country. So
Right. It's very close to Japan, I'd say,
really?
but not as Japan. It's a little bit better, but I think less people. I think everybody knows English here, but I think the courage to speak it is a little bit limited.
That's okay.
I think here the culture is, people tend to hate making mistakes. So I think versus the culture in the US where, I can make a mistake and it's okay. So here, and that prevents a lot of people from having the courage to actually speak the language. But I think most of them know English, at least like the basics. But what I noticed here is when I start speaking a little bit of Korean, they feel more comfortable and they start speaking a little bit of English with me too. So we kind of have the conversation between English and Korean both ways. So it helps. I think that just like icebreaker, I think is important. But it's not as bad as Japan, because I've been to Japan, and yes, there is, very hard. But here I think it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. And yeah, there are so many people in the professional world that actually speak very good English. I think Koreans, a lot of them also studied abroad, and they speak, some of them speak perfect English, actually.
Well, good to know for whenever I get to go there. All right.
Yeah, you should visit. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. I want to hear. All right. So first, give me the elevator pitch for SkalePLUS, and then I want to hear the origin story of it.
Sure. So we simplify cross-border expansion for businesses and startups, helping startups going to new markets, and then helping service providers get global customers. So, helping both, establishing in other markets, or, scaling up with their potential. So the background for SkalePLUS actually is interesting, because when I came to Korea, I had a different project which I started in the US. And when I came to Korea, I was working on that. I'm still working on that project, but I happened to create the Seoul Startups Club, and which grew very quickly. We established the community back in 2022, mid of 2022, so not too long time ago. And my challenges in Korea, plus the challenges of others non-Koreans who are establishing startups and businesses in Korea, encouraged me and gave me the idea that actually there's a significant need for a platform like SkalePLUS that actually first helps global people, or global entrepreneurs, or global businesses, or global startups going to new markets without the systemic barriers, language barriers, cultural business barriers, because they're huge. And getting the resources that help you overcome these barriers is pretty hard. And I've seen this firsthand from our community, actually myself and the other founders in our community. They struggle to find a good lawyer, one that speaks English in Korea, for example, the specialty that they're looking for. They're looking for accountants to comply with laws. They're looking for software development companies that are affordable. All these things are hard, especially in different markets. So with that in mind, we decided to establish SkalePLUS with a first feature of giving the startups the ability to find businesses through the marketplace. But at the same time, we're giving the service providers the ability to actually reach global customers that either live in Korea or outside of Korea. And this will actually scale up their business financially, and scale it, and allow them to grow as businesses.
Well, I'd love to hear a few kind of examples of companies you've helped do that, and I'll give you a few seconds to think about it while I ramble on. But this actually sounds like a perfect example of what I was talking about with Andrea from Italy, who he was talking about even within the EU, where cultures are, similar, but language barriers are huge just within, 10, 20 miles of each other. There's multiple countries. And he was talking about the differences that you have to basically budget for translation services if you are a startup in the EU, because, what works in Italy, then you have to translate it to Spanish for Spain, then German for Germany, and just all over. English works a lot of the time, but still there are some people who only speak one or two languages that aren't yours. So we'd love to hear some examples of kind of startups you're helping in Korea or elsewhere, kind of getting into Korea or vice versa.
Yeah, so we have some startups actually from Oman that actually used our platform to come to Korea. They found lawyers through our platform. I can't think by a name, but in our community, once we established the platform back in March 20th, we had many people use the platform and find intellectual property lawyers for their startups. And some of them use the platform to get accountants, to do some tax compliance certification for their businesses. So I can't remember the names on top of my head, but we had a lot of, I would say, great experiences even within the first 2 weeks of establishment. So this encouraged me even more to actually continue the project and add on the features and do all these great stuff. Actually,
pretty good proof of concept in the first few months. And speaking of Oman, big congrats. I saw you just got into a accelerator program there, right?
Correct. We got into one, and there are still competitions in every level we go to. It's like everything, but I think this is a great accomplishment for our team. Actually, I'm traveling to Armenia on Thursday or Wednesday. I think Thursday. I'm traveling to Armenia. There is another accelerator that we're participating in. Let me search the name. It's called the Seaside Yerevan, I think, or I'm gonna find the name later for you. But anyway, yeah. So I'm going there. I'm flying there on Thursday, and I'm gonna stay there for about 8 days. So I think for SkalePLUS, we've seen a lot of traction, not only from customers, whether they're service providers or users, regular users, or startups, but also from acceleration programs. And we gained a lot of attention. Actually, it hasn't been so many months. It hasn't been like even 6 months yet, since March 20th. As a matter of fact, we published the app on the 20th, March 20th. March 21st, we had our first paying customer, a lawyer and intellectual property. And actually, we onboarded most of our current customers within kind of 2 weeks of, very aggressive marketing. But then we stopped marketing. So now we want to get back to it again. Obviously, we are a small team. We're developing and improving a few things, but we'll get back to marketing and we're enlarge the marketplace even more. Currently, we're focused on different features to help startups, because we want to give startups more things to do in the app to enhance, traffic as well.
Well, I've already put one blog post on there, just talking about the Vagabond and what we're doing. So excited to keep posting and see that community grow alongside with it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. So I want to talk more about South Korea kind of as a whole, and then kind of lead into Seoul Startup Club. But tell me, in you've done a lot of traveling. You've been in Korea for a while now. How have you seen the startup community grow and change in South Korea in the last maybe couple years?
Yeah, so actually when I came to Korea, it was COVID. Everything was pretty quiet when I came to Korea. But everything actually picked up after, COVID restrictions have, when they were lifted. And new government initiatives have been established. And I think there are more programs, there's more funding now since I came, until now. So I think the focus now is for globalization and inbound and outbound in Korea. And that's like, drastic change from the period when I actually arrived to Korea, between that period and between now. And one of the reasons is the government's push for this is the population decline in South Korea. I'm not sure if you know about that, but this is a significant challenge for the government here. So they want to make sure that there's enough workforce, there's enough innovation, and the country keeps going. And one of the ways of doing that is bringing talents, doing their startups in Korea, and at the same time, sending Korean startups to other markets, benefiting from the perks of other markets like the US markets. So that's the push now. And I think we came, like SkalePLUS came as part of all these activities happening, right? To kind of, we consider ourselves as an enabler for globalizing South Korea as well, because even though we're not necessarily part of like the official government initiative, but I believe that our app is a significant push towards that. And I think, in my belief, I think we're gonna be able to make entering Korea easy, but faster than other initiatives that are out there.
Nice. No, you bring up a really good point that honestly isn't talked about enough, and the media is the decline of the South Korean population, which if you actually look into the numbers, it really is terrifying to see. I think every country needs to have its 2.21 kids per family to like just maintain the
Well,
population.
you can't have a half a kid, so you gotta have.
So you gotta have 2 to 3. But I think last I checked, it was like South Korea's at 0.5 per family. They're just not having enough kids to not only not maintain the population, but I think it's within Asia the lowest population growth rate, like all over. So it really is kind of sad to see almost a country disappearing just because, housing's become unaffordable, wages become stagnant. Like there's a lot of problems that go into why it is. It's not, there's no one solution fix all. But it is really sad to see, this great country like South Korea declining in their population so fast. So I, thank you for what you're doing to, hopefully help stop that. Hopefully I can see it before they disappear. But no, it really is.
No, I think
sad.
Hopefully with all the initiatives, I mean, the government here is working on many fronts to actually resolve this issue, although it's not easy though. But I think initiatives like ours, trying to make Korea more global as a country, bringing those businesses and startups that actually speak other languages, and presenting them to the outside world, where people like you, if you want to do business or do consultation in Korea, you don't feel it's hard for you to do that because you can have access to resources and services in English that are in South Korea, which is pretty hard now, right? And they can teach you and do things for you to overcome the cultural business barriers.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, your whole business is lowering that barrier of entry, to bring startups there and back and forth. And, it's only going to help. So kind of last big question, I wanted to hear more about Seoul Startup Club. You said you started it yourself, and then it kind of just grew pretty quickly once you grew it there. So what are, why did you start it? And then kind of like how big is it now? Or do you do like weekly meetups, or what does it look like?
So, when I first came to Korea, there was already a community there, without mentioning names. And I was, trying to navigate and actually meet people, and also get resources and things like that. But I didn't feel there was any benefit actually from being there. So, I participated in some classes and things of that nature online, for teaching non-Korean entrepreneurs certain things. And actually based on those classes, you can get points and things like that for your startup visa in Korea as well. But anyway, through that process, I met other people who are on the same page, like me. They're struggling. They need to learn about the Korean system, like business. How do I do business? How do I register my company? How do I file my taxes? Do you know an accountant? Is this paper required? What does this paper mean and what it is? Like all these, sometimes some questions are basic, right? Like they're for any startup in any country, but there are things that are like specific for Korea. It just makes it harder if you're not Korean, right? Like you're Korean, you could have similar problems, but for you having the language barrier and the cultural, I don't know how to say it. You're used to a certain system and then you come to a different system because, to be honest with you, like, yeah, even websites here work differently. Like even me trying to go to a website and using it, it works totally different. And Grant, one day come here and I'll show you and you'll see everything is totally different. So we kind of made it like a small community for us, right? And actually before that, we didn't call it Seoul Startups Club. It was just, startups in Seoul, and then there were like 12 people joined. And then, we started having, I think we were kind of like, when you were in a class, you're kind of on the same level. You have the same homework kind of thing. And we were like helping each other. Oh, did you register? What did they ask you for? Did you do that? Did you do that? What do you need? How do you do the shares? How do you do this? And we opened a chat room in an app called Kakao Talk, if you heard of it. It's a very famous chat app in Korea. So we were, yeah, so it's very famous when it comes to Korea. You have to use it, otherwise nobody will talk to you. Anyway, that chat room had a limit of 100 people. That's the automatic limit. And we were 12. No advertisement, nothing. We were just having these conversations, sharing resources and things like that. And it started growing. All of a sudden, like within a few months, we're like almost 100. And then I'm like, oh, I had to make a decision. Like, do I want to keep it small? Because my idea was, okay, we just want to keep it small. People really know each other closely. But then I said, I mean, this is growing. It looks like a lot of people need what we're doing, right? Because some people are silent and quiet, but they're just watching the information that they actually need, the exchange of knowledge and things of that nature. So I expanded to the max, which is 1,500 the room can get. And now today we're over 500 people just in that chat room. But outside of that chat room, we've established presence on Instagram and on LinkedIn. And we have like over 500 on Instagram. We have over 500 on LinkedIn as well. So in total, different audience and different platforms, we're over 1,500 startups and entrepreneurs. And throughout the years, we changed the name, we did the branding, and then we started, I personally, because it's managed by our company, my company, and we started giving benefits to startups, like a small incubator program. So it's more than a community, helping people with coaching them, how to make a business plan, how to create your pitch deck. What is the information? How do you do like market analysis, things of that nature. We've given entrepreneurs spaces to work. We've given them studios to shoot videos or do a podcast like yours. So whichever we have within our capacity and ability, we've provided them. We provide them also with services like if they want to go register their taxes or register their business, we take them and help them.
It sounds like SkalePLUS is actually the perfect like program to start Soul Startup Club and like help those people, because you actually provide the service that they're all going to need, and lawyers and tax attorney, accountants, and everything else.
So we started this with Soul Startups Club, and it became overwhelming because so many people need these things, right? So we wanted to first make this self-sufficient. So you don't need somebody, don't rely on someone, because many people are actually shy, don't like to ask for help. They'd rather do things by themselves. Some people would rather pay money and just do it by themselves without asking people, right?
You're also dealing with entrepreneurs who are by default very independent people.
Correct, exactly. And then for us also, we also are, have limited staff. We can't help everybody. So we came up with SkalePLUS. We said, okay, well, our community will provide a tool, not just events and information and knowledge and personal connections, but providing with sustainable, tangible tools that will not go away after an event or after a one-time advice or anything of that nature. So that's how we wanted to give our community and other communities globally, not just in Korea, the tool to actually utilize for their growth globally as well.
Nice. Well, kind of last thought on this. One, it sounds like you kind of figured it out without reading it beforehand. But I'm actually kind of going through a book right now by Brad Feld called Startup Communities. He started or grew the community in Boulder, Colorado, and just kind of first chapter right off the bat, he talks about the importance of you need government, you need universities, you need all these other he calls them feeders, people who help out the community. But it has to be the entrepreneurs who step up and lead the startup community, or else it's just going to go away and it's never going to grow. But just want to say my hat's off to you for stepping up and really helping to grow the community there as an entrepreneur yourself and also a leader in your community. So awesome. I'm already looking forward to coming and sharing some soju with you in Seoul.
We're happy to have you in Seoul. Anytime, just let us know.
Will do. Last kind of thing, floor is yours. Please, any last thoughts, comments, anything you'd like to say to the audience to leave us with?
So I'd say come to South Korea. And if you want to expand your business, if you're a service provider and want global clients, contact us, sales@scaleplus.com. Or if you are a startup that want to learn more about the Korean or global startup communities and resources, also visit SkalePLUS as well, and discover all the resources there and participate in this ecosystem, because SkalePLUS is an ecosystem not just for Korea, it's also for the global startup ecosystem. So please participate, write a blog, publish your business, and let's make a big global community that can financially and help one another. And also, I believe that financial growth is just a result of real valuable effect that you create. So that value that you provide is actually what drives the growth. But also without that money that you make, you cannot provide that value for a long, sustainable time. So let's provide that value, and at the same time, let's all make the money.
I agree. Awesome, man. It was a pleasure to get to meet you for the first time and get to talk about everything that you're working on and where you're at. So until next time, man.
All right. Thanks a lot.